Hello, everybody. Welcome out to tonight's oil event. You are welcome to put in the chat any questions that you have, and we'll try to get to that. Can you guys see the PowerPoint as well as our faces? Or just, okay.
Yeah.
Good. I was making sure it's recording our faces as well. So, tonight we're going to go over some oils. A lot of people have oils in your home already. And so we'll have a lot of ways to use probably what you already have, and maybe you're going to add to your arsenal. I'm also in a program where I can offer freebies to newcomers. So we'll talk about that. I just felt like this topic was really important because of just everything going on in the world. I think it's good for us to have, let's call it nature's medicine cabinet at home. And if something goes wrong, we can have things on the go. But I feel like self-reliance is a huge thing weighing on me lately. And I want to share that with other people so that they can have options. Especially the last 4 years, it's been a little bit of a ride, hasn't it? So you're welcome to take notes. Tell us where you're from, what your favorite oil is in the chat. And then just a quick introduction. This will be recorded so you can watch later or send to a friend with our private link on YouTube. But introduction to me, I've been in doTERRA 11 years. My name is Kim Allen. This is my husband, Todd, and our 4 kiddos. But our story is that we were able to get pregnant after 4 years with our oldest, Porter. And it was because we did a doTERRA cleanse, and I used clary sage oil, and I was on the vitamins. But it's a small regimen that I was on, and then quickly after we were able to conceive. And so sometimes we're just needing to give our bodies the right tools, right? But 11 years in doTERRA, that's a long time to be with a company. I love this company. It's the top in the world. And we moved from Idaho to Tennessee to South Carolina is where we are now by the beach. And we love it. And we have many people on the call that are like my leaders on the team, and we'll hear from them coming up here. Can you see this, or are our pictures in the way? I don't know how to do that. Hold on one second. I have 2 screens and I don't know where our faces went just now. But
I can see the screen, Kim.
you can still see it?
I see the slideshow and I see you right now. I don't see everybody else, but I can see you in the slideshow.
Okay.
Me too.
Okie dokie. Perfect. I mean, that'll work for now. Hopefully it'll show like the faces when you guys want to talk. But so using doTERRA essential oils for our aid or first aid is we're just trying to like rid of the toxins in our life. But doTERRA is the top essential oil company in the world, and they have a certified pure therapeutic grade of oil. So sometimes we're out and about and we'll see essential oils like in Walmart. Please don't use those. They are not pure. They probably don't test it, and they can say pure on the side. And that's the problem, is they say that they are, but they are not 100% pure. They could add something to it. They may not test it. And so they'll say even on a lemon, like do not use internally. But why wouldn't you be able to use lemon internally? We also have something called Source to You. So when you get a bottle of essential oil, on the bottom will be a code, and you probably can't see that very well, but you can look up the code and see where it was sourced and when it was sourced. So very traceable ingredients, and also very transparent company. You're going to know everything that they're doing. They're not trying to hide anything from you. And honestly, we're trying to use more things that are from nature, the way God intended. He put it on the earth. You can look it up in the scriptures, even in the Bible. It has so many references to things like frankincense. There's over 200 references, I believe, in the Bible to different essential oils. And being non-toxic is huge these days. Speaking of the certified pure therapeutic grade of oils, that's a mouthful. My goodness. I'm going to tell you a quick story of birch, that none of these right here that say that they are birch essential oil are actually have 1 drop of essential oil of birch. So they did testing on all of these. You'll notice some of those brands are very well known. Birch is very much like wintergreen essential oil, and they chemically put something into these bottles here that you see and made it look like birch essential oil. They even found that some of them had expired aspirin in these bottles. So when I say we are the top and the purest in the world, believe it and trust the doTERRA brand. And I don't usually like to speak out against other brands, but I know my mom has a good nose and we can definitely smell the difference. Over the years, we've smelt so many different oils comparing, but this is dangerous at this point. So I'm definitely speaking out. Like, I usually love my oily people, but I'm like, I'm kind of scared for you if you're using these other brands. I have no idea what's in them. I've heard people getting sick. I'm gonna just do one thing really quick. Has anyone heard of any stories like that? Because I've heard of a few people getting sick on other oils, like they took lemon internally. Anyway, so brand is key. So I am going to try to show all of your faces. No, that doesn't work. Okay. I do this every time, but we'll try that. You can use our oils aromatically, topically, and internally, and we'll talk about some of them that we're going to list off here. And these are some of the offers that we'll be discussing tonight. If you are new, but here's some of the tools that you can use. So, most of us that have oils love to carry them around with us like they're our babies, right? I know Chelsea has like a bag. My mom has a bag in her car. I don't know if Carmen's that obsessed yet, but, we have these small little vials, kind of like in the picture, and you can put them in the keychain and carry them with you. So when we talk first aid, you'll see some of these that you may want to carry around in your purse. And there's roller bottles you can get. These are all from the doTERRA website. And then also some of the oils for different first aid things, you can buy their veggie caps and you can put the oils in them and take them like a pill, okay? Just real quick, as I was studying for this topic, I was just noticing how many toxins that we're exposed to. Over 700,000 toxins in different things. And even in the first aid things that we're probably not thinking about, or maybe other people are using on the daily basis. But fragrances, cleaning products, cosmetics is a huge one, drinking out of plastic water bottles. So there's a few things that we'll mention on how to maybe switch to a better option. Neosporin is one of them. Has anyone ever used this before? Definitely. But here's a highlight of a few things. It's petroleum based. You can see in the active ingredients or inactive ingredients, and then your first aid antibiotic that's in there that you're like, oh, I need to disinfect this wound. Neomycin sulfate is in there, and we can see it's actually like a neurotoxin, but the drug, this is from healthline.com, says this drug can harm your kidneys, ears, and nervous system, including your brain. So let's put that directly on an open wound. Like what? Why would we want to do that? Especially on our kids, right? And then we're like, here's the Band-Aid, and we put that on. Well, doTERRA sees all of these problems and they think ahead, like what, especially for young families trying to take care of their families in a natural way. For first aid, here's your good switch. Who's used this Correctex before? A few of us. This is your swap for something like a Neosporin. This is your natural antibiotic ointment, and it's coconut oil based, okay? So there's no petroleum in there. We're not putting preservatives or petroleum in there. It's And then it has about, I think there's one more essential oil that's not listed, but frankincense is a huge healer. Helichrysum, I'm going to talk more in depth about that one. But these two oils right there, frankincense, I think our price for wholesale is about 78 or 79 for a bottle. For something like this, which I cash in my points for and get for free. But Helichrysum is a small bottle and it's about the same price. But I'm going to tell you more about it. You're going to like Helichrysum in a minute. So this bottle of Correctex, I think it's under probably $18. Okay, so it's a good way to get these oils for inexpensive and just to be able to carry it around with you. Melaleuca is really healing. Cedarwood and lavender are soothing and purify the skin at the same time. So this is a much better option to put on our cuts, scrapes, our wounds, any skin irritations, even cracked skin if it's really dry. My mom's in Idaho right now and it's snowing over there. I looked at your weather this morning and I was like, it's 70 here, but if I always get like dry cracked skin in the wintertime, it will help to heal it a little bit faster and soothe that area. And then bruises it's really good for. I even heard somebody put it under their eyes for their dark circles to help with that. So maybe we should try that one. I haven't tried that yet. Great to have on hand. Another healthy swap is for our hand soaps because, oh, I'm sneaking up. A lot of hand soaps have benzoate or benzene oil. I can't remember if that's the correct term. Triclosan, I think they caught on to and taken it out of a lot, but it's an endocrine disruptor. There's a lot of different toxins in normal hand soaps that can, be hormone disruptors, harmful to your organs, developmental, it's neurotoxicity, cause allergies, skin irritations, make you drier in your skin. So there's actually a healthy swap to, I keep pushing that. Our hand soaps are really good. They're foaming, they're a concentrate, so you can just add it to these beautiful dispensers. And there's non-toxic cleaners and things like that if you are looking. So if you're like trying to clean a wound, let's not put more toxic soap into that. Making sure that we're keeping it clean. All right, back to Helichrysum. I know people have stories about this. This is also called liquid stitches. So back to this tiny bottle, about 75 drops of this. Helichrysum is from the 85 drops from the Helichrysum flower, and it helps stop bleeding was the main thing that I remember hearing about. It's also a good pain reliever. And good for wound care. I am going to show you a picture of my story, and then my mom's going to also tell one. She's going to tell one about, you do not have to look at this picture. She's going to tell a story about stopping bleeding. So my son Grayson and my other son Porter were playing upstairs. There was a slide and he was standing on the slide, and then there was a filing cabinet next to him, and he got pushed off into the filing cabinet, and Grayson hit the corner of the filing cabinet with his head. And so he definitely opened a wound there. Of course, I started freaking out. I definitely needed some oils to calm down. But I'm going to show this picture on here. If you don't like looking at wounds, you do not need to. But we put Helichrysum on this, and on the way to the hospital, of course, it was quite large, and I was not having that. So I'm going to show this. If you don't want to see it, you don't have to. So I'm getting reflection here, but you can see that it's a large open gash. About, let's see, like an inch long and then open about a half an inch wide. So it's a lot wider, but head wounds bleed like crazy. And so we put Helichrysum right into that. I like having the dropper because then if there's something that we need to drop into like that. It's easier. You can have the roller, but that would be hard to roll on that area. And within about 3 minutes, it stopped bleeding on the way to the hospital. And we went to a, what are they called? Emergency care facility, and they don't treat kids with head wounds. So then we had to go to the emergency room somewhere else. So all of that time, I was so grateful that we had the essential oils to take care of that, because if that was bleeding out in the car, that would have been a much worse situation. So let's hear some other stories of helichrysum. This is a huge one. Shri, do you want to unmute and share?
Okay. Yeah, so we were out to dinner with some friends. We were actually sitting outside, luckily. And he realized that he had, given some blood that day and had left on that wrap around the cotton ball. So he pulled that off and it had scabbed over a little bit. And so all of a sudden he's like this, inside of his elbow is like pumping blood. And luckily we were outside. So I grabbed my bottle of helichrysum and I just dumped like maybe just one drop or two, I don't know, and it just stopped it immediately, and it coagulates the blood. And so he just looked at me like, what did you just do? And anyway, it was just very powerful. He goes, well, I'm a believer now, because it was just like pumping, anyway. So I love that one. And then and a friend of ours, he kind of cut the end of his finger off, like big time. And so I gave him helichrysum and Correctex and some Melaleuca. And within 2 days or something, it had healed over. And I mean, it was a really major wound. And he just couldn't believe what that did for it. So anyway, I have the helichrysum in my purse and I never travel without it, just because there, somebody could be bleeding or something and I could help them. But anyway, big fan of helichrysum. So
It's huge. Yeah. I remember you calling it liquid stitches, and everyone started, I don't think you started the trend, but we definitely caught on to it. It like knits the tissues back together as well. It's really good for open wound care. I remember even you had a mouth surgery, Mom, and did you put helichrysum on for your pain
yeah,
or
yeah, I
wintergreen?
did wintergreen. Wintergreen was immediate pain, like
Okay.
huge stopper. But I do put helichrysum on things like that too. But you could
Yeah.
just put it on the outside if you had some surgery or something. Yeah, wintergreen is amazing for pain. So
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Yeah,
sure.
it's huge for that. If there's any questions, I'm not sure I can see the chat box, but look down here too. You can also see the properties of helichrysum: antibacterial, anticardial, I can't say that, antioxidant, antispasmodic, antiviral, expectorant, it's mucolytic. I can't say that one either. You can look and see. The properties are good to know about the oils, just so then if something happens, you know kind of what to reach for. Lemon, this is a product of the month for those who are already in doTERRA, that if you order by 125 by the 15th of the month, then you get this free. But lemon is something I like to have when I go out, and it's in my keychain that I have. And I like to drink it in my water. And if you're at a restaurant, I like to disinfect my water with it and purify that. It's also more alkaline for you to drink lemon than it is for you to squeeze that lemon, acidic lemon from the restaurant into your water, which sometimes you have to reach for that, and that's fine. But and some of the uses for first aid are arthritis, colds, constipation, kidney stones, cough, cysts, any sluggishness, sore throats, sunburn, wounds. So this is one that you can use more internally. I love to put drops into my water. You want to make sure, because it helps to detox, to not put it in plastic when you're drinking it. And Kidney stones, I've heard a few stories over the 11 years I've done this, where people put it in their water and they were able to pass their stones without much pain. So that's huge because I've never had that, but I mean, they say it's like having a baby, so I would rather not feel that. Um, and not have the baby reward after, it's just a kidney stone. The mental support of lemon, I could just put it in a spray bottle and just spray that all the time because it's very uplifting. And you can see the properties down here as well. So I get my information from, so you know what I'm referencing is this Modern Essentials book. They do have an app. I don't work for them or with them or anything. This is the 15th edition that I was getting information from today. But yeah, I think they have an app. It might be $5. You'll have to look that up, but it's really handy to have on hand. If something happens, you can quickly just search and see what you need to do. Or just keep coming to our classes and then you'll know all the things. Just kidding. I still learn every single time I look something up. Yeah, so tea tree is another huge, we call it the Swiss Army knife of oils because it is something that, and if you have a story, please share or put it in the chat. You're welcome to unmute and share a story about it, but tea tree or melaleuca, as you've heard it before, probably, can treat so many different things and help to speed up healing. It's very cooling too. So burns comes to my mind at first. You can see the list of things it helps with. But my friend was working on his car that was smoking on the side of the road, and he burned his hand. He burned his hand on the engine when he was doing that. And his wife, I had given a little sample bottle to. So she had this in her car and said, here, let me put some Melaleuca on it. And it took the sting out right away from it, which was amazing. And it didn't blister over or become worse. And I'll share another story about a burn, but it's good for bug bites, wards off lice. If anyone, we have luckily not had a lice situation at our schools or anything. Really good for colds or cold sores, coughs, cuts, burns, slivers. It actually draws out the sliver, so you can kind of pull it out with the tweezers after that. Has anyone had an experience that you want to share with that? Oh, someone says they use it on their acne. Yes, that's a huge one. It's good for skin. And when we have any blemishes, you can put a dab right on there. Sydney said,
Necessarily for aid,
what?
but so this isn't necessarily first aid, but I had that huge, gosh, I had a bad reaction to like face cream that I got at the farmer's market. And I used heliochrysum on that, frankincense, tea tree. And I thought that scar, because it was like, Kim saw it was really bad, but she gave me a few oils recommendations to put on it. And it healed it up so much. But like it used to be in every picture that I saw like this scar, but tea tree helped with that, as well as heliochrysum and I think frankincense a lot. All three of those together helped a lot. And Kim, the other story about heliochrysum, when I was at your house that day that Grayson fell out of the tree, I don't think I've ever seen a bigger egg on someone's head. I don't know if that can even be classified as an egg. It was like a planet on the back of his head. And it had so much blood. And you just dropped the heliochrysum on there and it stopped the blood until you could get him in. But that was amazing. I was like, that was really cool to see.
Yes, so true. Like I just have to have heliochrysum because Grayson in his head wounds. What's also nice is I took on that story, I also took hold on a second. I took frankincense in the car with us on the way to visit a doctor friend so he could take a look at it. It was huge. Oh my gosh. And I just kept putting frankincense on him as well because it's really good for brain health. And we'll talk about that. But I can't remember what I put on him. So good memory because when you're just in the moments, it's like kind of a little bit traumatic to to deal with. But I am so grateful that we had oils on hand for something traumatic like that, because otherwise you feel like you're in a head spin or tailspin and you're not able to do anything for your child except for run them in, which is great, do that. But on the way to the hospital, I am so grateful when we have oils on hand. Thank you for sharing. Sydney said, anytime I start to feel a tickle in my throat, like I'm coming down with a cold or something, I put a couple drops of melaleuca in my mouth, and most of the time I won't fully get sick. I love that. Have you ever gargled it before? It's kind of gross. It's very, tastes like a cleaner or something. And it smells very clean too when you clean with it. And oh, she does coconut oil pulling in her mouth with that as well. So good. I love that share. Thank you. That's really good, Sydney. Yep, so good for sore throats. You can even put on the outside of your throat as well. Good for kids when they get it too. You can put it out here. You can see this one has a lot of properties that it can support your body with. Peppermint is a big one. This helps with so many things. Share your stories of peppermint too. I'm sure you have one. I had a friend that had headaches a lot. This is one I would have in a keychain vial with me. And you just put a couple of drops on your temples or wherever you get headaches. Sometimes it's the back, but it's very anti-inflammatory. Let me see here. It's analgesic, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antiseptic, antispasmodic, antiviral. I mean, this is just huge what the oils can do. Also helps with respiratory issues, your emotional state. Sometimes we need that first aid for our emotions. So it helps with fear and anger, the top ones that I pulled from that. My sister always used to love to smell it, and just kind of opens up your airways and gives you like more oxygen to the brain, supports digestive health. If you or your kids have a fever, it really helps to maintain the fever, but not to have it spike out of control. So you can put drops down the spine with some coconut oil. Again, being anti-inflammatory, you can put it on bumps and bruises to help that circulation and the inflammation of that area. It's almost like if you didn't have an ice pack, this is very cooling for it. Repels bugs, helps with bug bites. I think, Chelsea, did you get stung at my house? And I think she was sitting in a chair and grabbed the chair and a wasp stung her. There was like a wasp nest underneath the chair. And
Yeah.
I just ran for peppermint. Do you remember if it helped you very much?
I thought you were crazy because peppermint's a hot oil, and I had stung by a wasp before, but it felt like, you know, those tasers that have like the probes that go out and like attach. It felt like I was literally being like electrocuted by the wasp. It hurt so bad, and I was pregnant with Parks at the time too. So yeah, it just was like not a good time to get stung by a wasp because I was already like large and uncomfortable. And you went and grabbed peppermint and put it on there, and it took the pain away immediately. And I couldn't believe it because it didn't make sense to my brain. Because I was like, that's a hot oil. Like, how did it take the pain away? That was amazing. And it probably lasted the pain relief for like 4 or 5 hours, and I went home, and then it started hurting again. So I found my own peppermint and I added it on there, and then it took the pain away again. That was like one of the most immediate reactions I've ever had using oil. So if I could have oil on hand, I feel like peppermint's like the Swiss Army knife. Like, it's good for your stomach. Like, my little girl just had like an upset stomach on the way home, and I tossed back peppermint, to her in the back row so she could sniff it on the way home. Like, it's good for so many different things all over the spectrum.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I love that, that share, because sometimes you don't know until you use it and you're like, whoa, that was amazing. So having that on hand for bug bites or nausea in the car, like, if kids start to feel sick or you start to feel sick, or even after a meal, sometimes you can just put a drop in your hand. So you can smell it, you can put a drop in your water and drink it, which is amazing. and it also boosts your energy levels. So that's good.
Do
Let's
you
see.
remember we were at the park and you met up with that person who had a cold and they'd never used oils before? Kim put a drop in her hand and she went like this and she cupped it around their nose and they're like, I can breathe again for the first time.
She's probably like, who are you? No, she
I
had
don't know.
won something. Oh, she had won something on another page I run, and she was sick, and I was like, I have something to share with you. You want to try it? Um, it was actually Breathe. Was it Breathe, maybe? She was feeling
Oh,
sick. So here's another one with peppermint in it.
perfect.
And the menthol, when you breathe the menthol, it goes to your olfactory system, into your brain, and it creates change right away. But also, if you have sinus issues, peppermint or Breathe. So this has peppermint, eucalyptus, tea tree, lemon, ravensara, cardamom, and ravensara. But I wanted to show this as a swap because sometimes we forget to use the oils that we know about or have on hand. But there's a Breathe stick. I think Chelsea's got this one. There's Breathe drops as well. I like the oil, of course, because I can make my own rollers. I can put it in a diffuser if the kids are feeling like they're getting a cough, anything respiratory. But this blue box over here, this is actually a Vicks brand of like the ingredients in it. So I wanted to point this out again. Please toss it out because another petroleum-based product that we're putting on ourselves, our kids. One of my good friends that she's like, I threw out that Breathe. It didn't really work. And I was like, are you kidding me? You threw out Breathe? She's like, I like Vicks. I like it on my feet. I like to put it on my feet at night if I'm stuffy, and then put the socks on. So if you know, topically, you can put the oils on you. Your feet and your hands and your ears have reflexology points to different nerve areas in your body. And when you put petroleum-based product on your feet, it's soaking into your whole nervous system. And so it's really toxic for you. But that's fine. I mean, she likes it and does it, and that's her choice. But it has petroleum. It also has fragrance in it. That could be 100 different chemicals to get it to smell like how they want it to. It looks good because they have coconut oil in there or aloe, but those things may not be pure. So just the top two ingredients, I would just definitely avoid. Having the Vicks Vapor Rub because of those ideas that we're putting petroleum on us. And I hate that they say you can put it on a baby 3 months or older. That is not great. So your healthy swap would be the Vicks, the for Vicks, use the Breathe stick instead. There's respiratory function it supports. We have for asthma, for anxiety. When I had like literally a panic attack, and I couldn't breathe at the time. So this is definitely a first aid one because you can put drops in your hand. This is a aromatic way of using the oils. If you put a Breathe drop in your hand, you rub it together and you can smell it. Especially if you have sinus issues, you want to try to get up into the sinuses. If you're coughing, you want to get it into your lungs through your mouth. So you can cup it and then do it over your mouth and inhale like you would a straw. And then also for my anxiety that day, I also put it along my chest and was trying to smell it because it was tightening up. And it really helped to calm my system down doing that. So all sorts of things that it can be used for. Any stories with Breathe? Let me check the chat here really quick.
Yeah, we have a couple comments of people saying that Breathe is so much better than Vicks. I think everybody feels like the audacity of that woman to throw away Breathe.
Yeah. I was like, what?
So Breathe oil I ever used from doTERRA. Arabelle was really sick when she was a baby and a friend came over and she had breathe, and she put a drop on her chest, and she had a little bit, and she dabbed it on her nose, and she could breathe again. And I was so impressed that I went online and I found somebody in my neighborhood that had a bottle. And I don't ever go without breathe. My kids are very sick in the middle of the night, the kind of sickness that I used to have to leave my house and take them to the ER in the middle of the night to go get help. I don't have to do that anymore, because with breathe, they literally, like, it can, they'll be fine during the day, and then it gets like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and their chest is tight and croupy. And once they have breathe on them, then they can finally literally breathe and get through, when I used to have to bring them in. And
Yeah.
I haven't had to ER visit for a cough in probably 5 years since I started using it, because I keep it right there on my nightstand, and we just use that, and it saved us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And talking about the time and the stress that all of that is, it's so good to have these oils right there for you, especially in the middle of the night things. Sydney also mentioned that breeze stick rolling on chest, back, and feet. Oh, I love you roll it on the feet. Our house was sick recently. My 3-year-old had a cough that would get heavy in the evening. Without fail, we use the breathe. He'd stop having his coughing fits in the night. That's awesome. So empowering to have all of that with you. I will say, if you've ever had a kid with croup, the barking cough, add marjoram essential oil to it. I made a roller for Chelsea. We live pretty close, so this is why we have so many stories back and forth. But I made one for somebody in her house had croup or the barking cough, and there's something magic about marjoram in there with the breathe, and it really helps to stop that congestion that's going on and that spasm of the lungs. Okay, thanks for your comments. I love this. Yeah, especially during allergy season, Tracy. We here start to get a lot of green pollen that starts to fall off of these pine trees down here, and the breathe oil, like, cup it in your hand. There's another blend. Which one do I have next? There's another blend that is, so write this down because I don't have a slide on it, but lemon, lavender, and peppermint if you have bad allergies. So you can drink it in your water. It's not going to taste great. But I never mind it. I've done oils for so long that I do it all. But lemon, lavender, and peppermint, you can also rub on the bottoms of your feet at night to help your immune system catch up. But those are really good for allergies, and then diffusing the breathe so that you have that clear airways going on in the house, especially when kids get sick. They're just diffusing that all the time. Another first aid option, I love to have this deep blue stick on hand. There's the oil. My internet was being funky earlier, so I have this weird picture right here, but the deep blue stick is one of my favorites because it has copaiba essential oil from Brazil in there, and there's also something magic about that oil. It's very calming to your body and your system, your tissues, your muscles. And after a long day, like a walk, I don't work out very often because I have neck issues. And so this deep blue stick is my friend most of the time. So if you are in pain, you can't really do a whole lot. So I recently had a cavitation. I don't know if you know what that is, but underneath my wisdom tooth that I had probably 20, how old am I? 20 years ago. There was an infection in this underneath the bone of where they took out my wisdom tooth. There was an infection in there. And you can only get that on the cone beam x-ray. So if you're now curious, cavitations, look it up. But afterwards, I was definitely sore in the jaw because they had to get the infection out of the jawbone. I was using the deep blue along the side, and it really helped with any inflammation on that. Again, with your bumps, bruises, your inflammation, you're going to want to reach for deep blue. It's in most kits. They come in, there's a lot of things like this for those who are new, and the deep blue oil comes in there, and you can make your own blends. And then adding lemongrass for joint pain is a good one too. And having arthritis. You can put it right on directly on the area. Chelsea did have a story on this. I don't know if her kids have come down, so if she wants to share a little bit about digestion, just let me know and you can unmute yourself. This has ginger. This is great for digestive problems, obviously in the name. Ginger, peppermint, cardamom, fennel, caraway, coriander, and anise. Kind of smells a little bit like a black licorice, but it helps with bloating, constipation, cramps, upset stomach, nausea, helps to rid of parasites in the gut, even helps with your sinuses. But Chelsea, what was your story that you wanted to share on this one?
So we've had the stomach bug too many times recently, and digestion just works so well. I have it in a few forms. I have it here in a capsule, which is just the digestion. It's just right inside there. If you mind the taste, I don't mind the taste, so I just put a drop under my tongue. And then you can also do it in the roller bottle on the belly. So when the kids don't feel good, when Charles doesn't feel good, my husband, he comes to me and he's like, doctor me up, take care of me. And digestion works almost immediately. Within 5 to 10 minutes of having a stomach ache, once you put digestion under your tongue, you just start feeling better. So I always put it under my tongue and then I roll it around my stomach and my belly button. And then add in, sometimes I'll add in peppermint, but within a few minutes you just feel better. And if it's like an upset stomach because of a belly ache, it just takes it away. The kid can go back to sleep or just feel better. If it's like a stomach bug, it's something that you just want to keep using throughout the whole process to give relief and help kill what's going on in the belly. We use digestion, and then I also used for my kids these PBS. So for my baby boy who is 1, I treated it like a pixie stick, and I just would kind of put it in his mouth. It tastes like a pixie stick to me. You can also mix it with water and it has a really mild taste, but he wasn't drinking liquids at the time. So I was killing the bad bugs with this and some herbs, and I was helping restore the good bacteria with this. And once I started using this, I really noticed a difference for him. He'd been sick for a few days, and then once I put the good bacteria, and this is a probiome gut complex, then he really took a turn for the better at that point. And another option, probiotics to help heal the gut in that situation. But we just had all the doTERRA things on hand, and I noticed it helped a lot. But when my kids were really miserable and there's not a lot you can do for comfort, the digestion really just kind of calms their stomach so they can have some relief in the middle of the unpleasant situation.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I just want you all to know we're listening to the Gutsy Girl gang right here on Instagram. She is a holistic nutritionist, so all of the things she's got in her arsenal are pretty powerful. Anyone else have a digestion story? Sydney does. Sydney loves oils. So she said, I cannot say enough good things about digestion. I get really weird stomach pains every now and again. And I can't get answers on. And sorry, my eye, this is so bright for me. There. And what it could, and then whenever I use digestion, it helps ease my stomach pains. It is my go-to. I swear by it. Yes, that's amazing. I'm sorry about your stomach pains. I think the probiotics, so like when we cleanse out our gut, and especially it says this helps with parasites, and it's really gonna help any gut issues for kids, for adults, but the probiotics are huge to follow up with so that you're replacing it with good gut flora. So you might want to try that, Sydney. That might help a lot. I love the new probiotic line because it's a pre and probiotic. So let's see. Any other stories with digestion? It's definitely good for, like, honestly, I use it monthly when I start having cramps because it's probably the bloating going on. And then I love the digest tabs because instead of the pink stuff, you can reach for digestion. So this is your healthy swap. I didn't put that on the slide, but they're going to be a lot more supportive for you and toxin free and dye free. The pink stuff has the red food dyes in it, and it's not good for you. I don't know if you've seen my experience or experiment before with On Guard. This is your protective blend. So when something's going on or going around, you also want to use this. So let's say the stomach bug is going on right now around our area. And so you want to be diffusing this. It helps disinfect your surfaces if you have a lot of cleaning products with it. But look at my mold experiment. I keep saying experience. I put about 4 drops of On Guard on this top piece of bread to just see what happens. So under a month, you can see the difference in the oil bread that I put on and the barrier that it created against the mold and bacteria that's growing in there. And then the other bread is just completely green with mold, and it's so gross. But you can see that what it does, and it's a good visual to have. I use On Guard when anyone is going to, when getting sick or just you feel sluggish, you can put it on the bottoms of your feet at night. That's when your immune system is the most at work and your nerve endings are on the bottom of your feet. So you definitely want to be boosting yourself up. Has the #1 antioxidant in it, which is cloves. Clove essential oil is high on the ORAC score. Cinnamon, orange, rosemary, eucalyptus. It smells like Christmas. It's really amazing. You can actually make your own hand sanitizer just to have. You can make these room spray bottles are about 2 ounces, and you can buy those on Amazon or Aroma Tools. I love On Guard. It's one of my go-tos for sure. Frankincense, we've talked a couple times about. My top thing I love it for is inflammation or brain health. A quick story. Mom, do you want to tell the story about Grandma at her 80th birthday? I think it was her 80th birthday, and she was, I don't think you're muted, Lizzie, or unmuted.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, so she was apparently having a stroke. And so I took frankincense and I put it under her tongue every time she'd kind of start slurring her words. And I know this really sounds bad because I should have had her to the hospital right away, but she was living for this day to have this party. Anyway, so I'd follow her around and I just dump it under her tongue and she would be able to talk. Perfect. And so anyway, so finally I said, okay, this is it. We got to take her to the hospital probably. So we left the party and I put her in a wheelchair at the ER and I pulled her up to the lady that was admitting and things, and she couldn't talk, and so I dump it under her tongue and then she could talk, and then she could say something, and anyway, it went on and on. The lady finally looked at me and goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "Well, I'm putting frankincense under her tongue because it passes through the blood-brain barrier and she's able to talk." And so anyway, I did this all day. They never did find the stroke or anything. I think I really messed things up for them. But even when I left
for her.
I know when I left to go get some lunch and I came back and she said the doctor had come, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what did he say?" And she couldn't tell me. So I dumped it under her tongue and she could tell me everything he said. But anyway, yeah, frankincense, if there's only one oil on the planet, would be my very favorite because it can do everything. And just the fact that it's so good for the brain and memory and anything to do with neurological things is amazing. So yeah, anyway, that's my story.
The high-end oil comes in most kits too. And I usually like to cash in points for my Frank. I call him Frank now. Here, I got you, Mom. Let's see. But it's good for viruses and bacteria again. You can see the frankincense tears there in that picture. This is where they distill that from. It's great for memory, mental fatigue, immune support. It's huge. I even had someone smell it in one of the classes that I teach, And she came up, she was the most skeptical person in the class. Like, I swear she was glaring at me the whole time. And then afterwards, because I passed this around, and I think she smelled it from the bottle for like a few minutes and came up to me after. I was a little worried, like, what's she gonna tell me? And she was like, I could see better. Like, I'm not even joking. She's like, I could see better when I was smelling frankincense. Like, it brought clarity and it was so good for her vision. It was amazing. Really good for skin health and wrinkles and scarring, right? Like Chelsea talked about earlier, anti-scarring. So helps with migraines for Tracy. Put a drop on my thumb and press it to the top of my mouth. I have heard that strategy before with my friend Sheila. She does that for her migraines too. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing. Okay, lavender is another common one. For cuts, burns, stings, bites, anything. It's a good repellent too. Physical and mental stress when we need to calm down. Lavender is what you're going to want to reach for. I want to share with you in clinical trials recently, L-theanine was in theanine, yeah, in lavender showed the ability to help subjects stay asleep and get a higher quality of sleep. The use of L-theanine in the oil has been shown to improve both sleep efficiency and sleep latency. So when we are super stressed out, we need a deep, deep sleep. You're going to want to use this at night and also have in your arsenal because it's good for most everything as well. So I keep that on hand. And there's a way to get the Roller Touch bottle, Lavender Touch bottle this month for free for new customers. If you want, you can take a picture, screenshot of this, just a few fun diffuser blends that you can use with some of the oils. While I look for any other stories. Okay, nothing in the chat. When you diffuse oils and use them aromatically, it actually helps to cleanse the air and bring a different mood to your home and cleanse out any pathogens going on. So you're welcome to take a screenshot of this because I'm going to move on here in a sec. Here's a couple of recipes for you with some of these oils. We have an owie spray. You can call it whatever you want. Healing spray maybe would be, if you don't have kids, then you can call it something else. But simply taking a spray bottle, you can put 10 drops of frankincense, 10 drops of melaleuca, and 10 drops of lavender. This is going to be a healing spray. You can add witch hazel, which is really good for helping with any skin issues. It's good for rashes. So this could be used on any skin topical thing, especially where I actually had, telling you a little TMI, but my pregnancy with Hazel at the end, I actually gave myself shingles from so much stress. And so I had a rash on this nerve line and right before labor too. So it intensified. It was really fun, but there you can't touch it. So a spray on something like a rash or a wound is really helpful for healing so that if you can't like rub oils on there, and then fill it with fractionated coconut oil. You can dilute it a little bit more to make sure it can go through that. But good for cuts, scrapes, any kind of wounds. Okay, so take a picture of that if you need that. I'm going to go to the next slide here. This is a little more intensive. So if you just want to take a picture, this is from doTERRA's DIY site. A healing salve is good to have on hand for when you have those wounds that really need a little bit more support. There's lavender, cypress, melaleuca, frankincense, eucalyptus, essential oils in this blend. Now, instead of grapeseed or almond oil, you can use coconut oil. And just follow the instructions on this. I would keep it maybe in your fridge to make it last longer, with the vitamin E oil being in there. But cypress, let me mention a little bit about cypress is, and Sheree, you're welcome to share what you were talking to me earlier about cypress, but cypress really gets things moving. It's one that can help with bruises and circulation. So this is a good blood circulation oil. I think I put it on my leg once when I had a big bruise from flying because I was crossing my legs most of the time. So I was rubbing my legs down with this, and I'll tell you what it gets moving is emotions. Emotions get stuck in the body. And I later that day was crying about something like full on, like meltdown crying. And Todd was like, "Did you use Cypress today?" And I actually had. I was like, "Actually, I did. Put it on my legs." So sometimes if there's stuck emotions in your body, Cypress will help with that. Any quick shares with Cypress? This is just a random share on here, but eucalyptus is great. I love it in our sauna. It's the respiratory, any respiratory issues, coughs, things like that. Definitely good for. Okay, I'm moving to the next slide here. Back to some of the tools I had mentioned earlier. Those are all available on your doTERRA orders if you want that. They do have, I will say their spray bottles are plastic, and I like to use the amber spray bottles for my oils. So let me know if you learned anything new. If there are people that are new to the oils, I'm in a special program where I can offer some different things. So with a new order, if you know anyone, you also have a referral code with your wholesale membership. But any new enrollees can receive a lavender touch with a 100-point order. They can also, for a 150-point order, if you're adding like a helichrysum to your order onto your kits, then you can get the lavender touch plus choose one of these free options. I would choose another diffuser. And then the 200-point order special is a citrus bliss oil, which is amazing to diffuse. Have in a spray bottle, it will uplift any room. It's amazing. And that lavender touch and your additional option. There's a lot going on here, but this is the home essentials kit where you get these 10 different oils. I didn't highlight oregano even in my presentation just now, but oregano is 10 times more powerful than an antibiotic. That's one that I would put in your, I would put in a veggie cap to take internally and then follow up with probiotics if you ever had to use oregano. Don't use it for more than 10 days. So, this is 270 for the home essentials. There's other kit options, but this gives you all of the specials that I can offer you. And it also comes with a 25% off wholesale membership. And with my promo code for this class, if you know someone and you're going to send it to them, you have to have the promo code to get the special. So just let me know and I can help you send that out. If this is something that interests you and you log on to your, if you're a wellness advocate, you can get a wholesale membership, and then you can also upgrade to, which doesn't take anything, it's just clicking a button, to a wellness advocate. You get a referral code immediately to refer a friend. So if you know someone that needs these oils, you can simply share with them and empower them in their health. That's what we're all about. And if you want to join the business side of things, it's really simple. You can come to our classes, invite anybody to them, and you can see the possibilities of healing your finances. Sometimes we need to heal that part of our lives, and empowering others is what we're all about. So I hope that you found something new today. Thank you for sharing all of your stories. I really appreciate you. And I will share this recording. If you have any questions, just contact me and we'll get you taken care of. All right. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Kim. It's a great class.